Dear viewers, welcome to our channel. Subscribe to receive more stories every day. Amanda Chase had always been the steady one. Even back in college, when her friends flitted from majors to boyfriends to hairstyles like butterflies, Amanda moved with purpose. She knew what she wanted: security, a future, and someone who could build that future with her. So when she met Eric, a charming, ambitious business major who could talk circles around everyone in the room, she felt lucky. He was driven, confident, a little cocky, sure, but he had a vision. And most importantly, he said he loved how grounded she was, how much she believed in him. They got married in a small ceremony in her parents' backyard. She wore a $500 dress and a borrowed veil. Eric joked that one day, when he was a millionaire, he'd buy her the wedding she really deserved. Amanda just laughed and kissed him. She didn't care about a ballroom. She cared about the life they were going to build. For 15 years, Amanda poured herself into that life. She supported Eric when he launched his real estate firm, working part-time while raising 2 kids, cutting corners to stretch his early commissions into groceries, skipping new clothes so he could take meetings in tailored suits. When his business took off, she cheered him on from the sidelines, proud of how far they'd come. They moved into a beautiful house with big windows and a backyard just big enough for a swing set and a vegetable patch. To everyone on the outside, they were the golden couple. 2 kids, a thriving business, a marriage that had weathered storms and come out stronger. But Amanda knew better. The cracks started subtly: late-night texts, sudden business trips, the way Eric's eyes would glaze over when she talked about the kids' school projects. He'd started wearing cologne again, something he hadn't done in years. She saw the signs, but she didn't want to believe them. Then, on a Wednesday morning, it all shattered. Amanda was in the kitchen packing lunches for their kids, Leah and Max, when Eric walked in. He looked clean-shaven, well-rested, too put together for someone who was supposedly working from home. "Amanda," he said, avoiding her eyes, "we need to talk." The words hit her like a cold slap. He told her he wasn't happy, that he hadn't been for a long time, that he'd met someone else. A woman from his firm, young, smart, understands the pressure he's under. Amanda's ears rang. Her knees buckled slightly, but she didn't let him see. "I'll give you a few weeks to figure things out," Eric said smoothly, like he was discussing business logistics. "But I think it's best if I move out." He was gone within 48 hours. Amanda was left in the house, stunned, with 2 children asking why Daddy wasn't home for dinner. She cried in the shower, screamed into pillows, wrote a text to Eric begging him to come back, then deleted it. A week later, she went to use the debit card and it declined. She called the bank. The accounts had been emptied. Amanda's world flipped upside down. What followed was chaos. Eric had closed the joint accounts. He stopped paying the mortgage. The car, leased in his name, was towed in the middle of the night. Amanda scrambled to find a lawyer, using money she'd tucked away over the years in a personal savings account. Her lawyer, a kind but blunt woman named Diane, looked over the situation and exhaled sharply. "Has he always had this much control over the finances?" she asked. Amanda nodded, ashamed. "Did you sign a prenup?" Amanda hesitated. "Yes. It was his lawyer's idea. I didn't think it mattered back then. I wasn't marrying him for his money." Diane didn't say anything, just reached for her coffee and muttered, "They never think it matters until it does." Amanda's days turned gray and mechanical. She tried to keep life normal for the kids. Leah was 12, old enough to understand that something was wrong. Max, at 8, just kept asking when Daddy was coming home. Amanda lied, and it burned her throat every time. Meanwhile, Eric was living it up. Photos started popping up on Instagram. Him and the new woman, posing at rooftop bars, vacationing in Miami. His smile in those pictures didn't look forced. He looked free. Reborn. Amanda seethed. But worse than the anger was the self-doubt. Was she really that replaceable? Had their life together meant nothing to him? At night, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying 15 years of marriage. looking for the moment when everything started to decay. One rainy Tuesday, Amanda dropped the kids at school and returned to the house, the one Eric was now trying to sell from under her. Diane had advised her to gather every financial and legal document she could find. So Amanda dug through boxes in the attic, rummaged through drawers, folders, old envelopes. That's when she found the prenup. It was in a slim blue folder labeled Marriage Docs. She remembered signing it days before their wedding, with little ceremony. Eric had told her it was just to protect his business. Amanda had never read it closely. This time she did. And what she found made her sit up straight. Buried on page 6, under a section titled Matrimonial Provisions, was a clause she didn't remember seeing. In the event of infidelity by the party of the first part, Eric Chase, the party of the second part, Amanda Chase, shall be entitled to 75% of all marital assets, including but not limited to real estate, investment portfolios, and business interests, irrespective of current valuations or asset control. Amanda stared at the words. Her heart raced. It was a clear, bold clause. No ambiguity. She took a photo of the page. Then another. Then she called Diane. Diane was stunned. "Do you know what this means?" she asked slowly. Amanda didn't dare to hope. "It means I'm not powerless." Diane smiled. "It means you've got leverage. If we can prove the infidelity, and this prenup is legally binding, we can turn this entire thing around." The fight began in earnest. Amanda hired a private investigator. She felt ridiculous at first, like a woman in an old movie. But within 2 weeks, the investigator came back with gold. Time-stamped photos of Eric and his new girlfriend entering hotels. A matching vacation itinerary. Receipts. Even a few texts Eric had foolishly sent from his work phone. Diane built the case carefully, deliberately. The court date was set. Eric remained arrogant, believing Amanda was just grasping at straws. He didn't know about the clause. The night before court, Amanda sat at the kitchen table, alone save for the ticking clock on the wall. She looked around at the half-packed boxes, the photos on the wall, the fingerprints on the fridge from Max's jelly-sticky hands. This was her home, her life, and she was done letting someone else control it. She opened the folder one last time, ran her fingers over the line that had become her lifeline, and whispered to herself, "You shouldn't have underestimated me." Amanda arrived at the courthouse early. Her palms were sweaty despite the cool morning air. She wore a simple navy blazer and a blouse she'd ironed 3 times that morning just to keep her hands busy. She felt like she was walking into war. But it wasn't fear that sat heavy in her chest. It was resolve. Diane met her on the courthouse steps. "You ready?" she asked. Amanda nodded. "Let's end this." They entered the courtroom, calm but prepared. Eric was already inside, sitting beside a sleek, sharp-suited attorney Amanda didn't recognize. His new girlfriend, Rachel, sat in the back row, legs crossed, chewing gum like this was some kind of drama she'd bought a ticket to. Eric didn't even look at Amanda. Opening arguments began, and Eric's lawyer came out swinging. He painted Amanda as a resentful housewife, clinging to the lifestyle her husband built. He argued that she had no involvement in the business, no claim to the investments, and should be granted a reasonable settlement and encouraged to find independent means of support. Amanda clenched her jaw. Then it was Diane's turn. She stood with calm authority and said only one thing. "Your Honor, we respectfully ask the court to consider the legally binding prenuptial agreement signed by both parties, which includes a clause regarding infidelity." The room shifted. Eric flinched. His lawyer leaned in to whisper something, but Diane continued. "We also have physical evidence of Mr. Chase's extramarital relationship. Multiple instances. We will present that documentation shortly." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Well, let's see it." The next hour was a carefully choreographed takedown. Photos, emails, hotel records, security camera footage. The PI had been thorough, and Diane laid everything out methodically. Eric's lawyer fumbled. Eric tried to interrupt, claiming the relationship only started after he moved out, But the timeline didn't support him. Diane presented a Valentine's Day hotel reservation from 2 months before the split. That's when Rachel got up and stormed out of the courtroom. Amanda allowed herself the smallest smile. Just when Amanda thought they had it in the bag, Eric's lawyer switched tactics. They brought up the prenup. Yes, it existed. Yes, it was signed. But then came the twist. "We would like to question the validity of the clause in question," the lawyer said. "The language appears to have been added after the fact, possibly even without full consent." Amanda's stomach dropped. Diane immediately objected. "That's a serious accusation, and completely unfounded." Eric's lawyer handed over a forensic report. "We've had the document analyzed. There's a possibility that the page with the infidelity clause has a different ink composition than the rest of the document." The judge frowned. "Are you alleging the clause was added fraudulently?" "We're saying it's possible," the lawyer said smoothly. "And that deserves examination." Amanda's world tilted. That night, Amanda sat at her kitchen table, the folder open in front of her. She couldn't believe it. Could the clause really have been added later? She hadn't done it. She hadn't touched the document in years. But now doubt started to crawl into her brain. What if Eric was right? He called Diane. What if they prove it was altered? What if I lose everything? Diane was calm. "We're going to get to the bottom of it. Promise. That clause was there when you signed it, wasn't it?" "Yes," Amanda said. "I just don't remember noticing it. But I didn't forge anything." "Then we'll prove it." The next day, Diane brought in a document specialist. Amanda handed over everything. The prenup, old email chains with Eric's lawyer from back then, scanned drafts she found on a USB drive tucked into a drawer. And then came the breakthrough. Inside an old shoebox of wedding memorabilia, Amanda found a printed draft of the prenup dated 3 days before the wedding. And the clause was there, in the same ink, same font, same signature placement. They had proof. Ironclad. The ink difference. Explained easily. "Eric printed the final page again after you signed it," Diane guessed. "Maybe he spilled coffee on it. Maybe he wanted a cleaner copy. But it matches your draft." They're grasping. Amanda's relief was indescribable. In court the next week, Diane presented the original draft Amanda had saved. It was time-stamped, watermarked, and notarized. There was no doubt the clause was real. Eric's lawyer paled. Eric stared straight ahead, face stone cold. And then, like a house of cards collapsing, everything fell apart. Diane asked for asset disclosures again. "Full ones," she said pointedly. And that's when Eric made his biggest mistake. He refused. The judge's eyes narrowed. "Mr. Chase, do you understand what refusing a court-ordered financial disclosure entails?" Eric didn't speak. The judge leaned forward. "If you're hiding assets, this will not end well for you." Amanda couldn't believe what was happening. That afternoon, Amanda got a call from Diane. "You're going to want to sit down." Turns out, during discovery, they uncovered a hidden offshore account. It had been linked, however briefly, to Eric's business years ago. And it had over $3.4 million in it. Money he never reported. Not to Amanda. Not to the IRS. Not to anyone. "He committed fraud," Diane said. "Not just marital fraud, financial fraud. If we wanted, we could report this. And trust me, Amanda. The judge is not going to take kindly to any of it." Amanda was stunned. He always said we didn't have money. He told me we were struggling. He was lying." And that's when something in Amanda snapped back into place. The woman who had once believed in him, the girl who thought love meant trust, was gone. In her place was a mother, protector, a survivor. She wasn't just going to win this case. She was going to bury him. Leah found out before Amanda could stop it. Someone at school had told her. Rachel had apparently posted something snarky online about Amanda taking all the money. That night, Leah looked at her mother with wide eyes. "Is it true? Are we poor now?" Amanda knelt beside her. No, baby. We're not poor. We're fighting. But I promise you I've got this. You're going to be okay. Leah hugged her tightly. I just want him to say sorry. Amanda's throat tightened. Me too. The final court date approached. Amanda walked into that courtroom no longer uncertain or afraid. Eric looked smaller now. His charm had worn off. The judge had seen the lies, the fake smiles, the missing money. Amanda stood tall as Diane made her final statement. Your Honor, my client was betrayed emotionally, financially, and legally. But she never broke the law. She stood by the rules. She upheld her vows. And now we ask that the court uphold what her husband tried to destroy. Her right to justice. The judge nodded slowly. We'll reconvene tomorrow for the ruling. Outside the courthouse, Amanda looked up at the sky. It was cloudy, but she could feel the sun just behind it. The courtroom was silent. Even the sound of rustling papers had stopped. Amanda sat beside Diane, her hands folded tightly in her lap. She could hear her heartbeat in her ears as the judge cleared his throat. This court has reviewed the prenuptial agreement, the presented evidence of infidelity, and financial misconduct. Mr. Chase, your failure to fully disclose assets, in addition to violating the terms of your agreement, has placed you in breach of contract. Eric didn't flinch. He stared ahead like none of this concerned him. The judge continued. The clause in question was found to be valid, binding, and enforceable. Therefore, the court awards 75% of all marital assets to Amanda Chase. This includes real estate, investment portfolios, and business holdings. Amanda closed her eyes for half a second. Relief. Not victory, freedom. After court, Diane sat Amanda down with the financial team. Eric's portfolio was larger than anyone had guessed. He'd diversified. Commercial real estate, stocks, a stake in a luxury resort chain. Amanda, under the terms of the prenup, now controlled 75% of all of it. What do I do with this? She asked, blinking at the pages. You do whatever you want, Diane said, smiling. Hire a manager. Keep the house. Sell it all and move to Italy. You earned it. But Amanda didn't want revenge. She wanted roots. She kept the house, updated the kitchen, planted a bigger vegetable garden. She hired a financial advisor and put away funds for Leah and Max's college. She offered a generous severance package to Eric's former employees, most of whom had jumped ship when the scandal broke. And then she bought herself something she had never owned before. Small office space. A new beginning. 6 months later, Amanda opened a consulting firm for women going through high-asset divorces. Started small, just a few clients. But word spread. Women called from across the state, desperate for guidance, scared and lost the way Amanda had once been. She taught them what to look for, what to ask for, how not to be silenced. She became a speaker, an advocate, and, for some, a lifeline. Eric, on the other hand, had vanished from the spotlight. His new relationship had crumbled under pressure. Lawsuits followed from former business partners. The IRS launched an inquiry. The man who once held all the power was now ducking reporters. Amanda didn't gloat. She grew. One autumn afternoon, Amanda found an envelope in her mailbox. No return address, but the handwriting was unmistakable. Eric. She debated throwing it away. But curiosity won. Inside was a short, scrawled note. Amanda, you probably won't believe this, but I'm glad it turned out this way. I was never strong enough to admit I'd become everything I swore I wouldn't. Hurt you. Failed the kids. I lost sight of everything real. Plus, I forgot it existed. My lawyer added it years ago when he didn't trust me. I laughed it off. Funny, huh? You always saw the truth before I did. Tell Leah and Max I'm sorry. Eric. Amanda read it 3 times. Then she folded it, placed it in a drawer, and left it there. She had no need for ghosts. Months later, Amanda met with her financial advisor Lisa to finalize the sale of one of Eric's remaining properties. There's something odd, Lisa said, flipping through documents. This estate was in a trust, but not just in Eric's name. You were listed as a joint silent partner when it was created. Amanda blinked. I was what? Lisa nodded. He added your name 10 years ago, possibly for tax shelter reasons. But here's the kicker. You were always entitled to part of the profits from this estate. Amanda's mind raced. Are you saying I was legally entitled to income from this for the last decade? Yes, and he hid it. Which is why we can now retroactively sue for back payments. Interest included. Amanda sat back in her chair. He hadn't just betrayed her emotionally. He'd been robbing her blind for years. Amanda didn't go public. She didn't need a headline or a victory lap. She quietly filed the lawsuit, settled in mediation. She donated half of the money to a women's legal aid organization. The other half, she used to fund a scholarship program for women restarting their lives after financial abuse or divorce. One sunny afternoon, Amanda stood in her backyard. Leah was playing guitar on the patio. Max was racing around with their golden retriever. The garden had exploded in color. Zucchinis, tomatoes, bright orange marigolds. Amanda sipped tea and watched her children laugh. The man who once took everything from her had unintentionally given her the most powerful thing of all, second chance. And one single line in a forgotten prenup, something she hadn't even realized was her safety net, had cracked open the door to a life she never would have dared to dream. Dear viewers, thank you for watching. If you like this story, please subscribe to our channel to receive more stories every day. Share with us what you think of this story and tell us where you're watching from.